Right, so, welcome everyone. This is our first substantive lecture of the unit, and today I want us to do something quite specific. I want to help us orient ourselves. Not to master anything, not to memorise names, not to walk out thinking, yes, I've nailed social theory. If you do, we've probably gone wrong somewhere. What I want instead is for you to get a sense of the terrain we're stepping into. And I want to say this right off the bat. If at points today you feel slightly lost, or you think, I've heard this before but I can't quite grab it, that's not a failure. That's actually exactly where we should all be at this stage. This is a postgraduate unit, so yes, I will assume some familiarity with theory, but I'm also very aware that your backgrounds are different. Your undergraduate training is uneven. Many of you are working in a second or even third language. And social theory has a very special talent for making some very intelligent people feel temporarily foolish. So today is about bringing us onto roughly the same map, even if we're standing on different parts of it. Think of this lecture as giving us the coordinates, not a destination. Let's pause. Now, the title of today's session is Social Theory in the Early 20th Century, and that already tells us something important. This is not classical theory in the narrow sense, and it's not contemporary theory either. It's a bridge moment, a moment where sociology is trying to work out what it actually is, what it should explain, and how ambitious it should be. What you'll start to see today is that many of the debates we'll return to later in the unit, around power, meaning, structure, agency, order, change. They're already here, just expressed in slightly different vocabularies. A very quick guide. This slide is doing a lot of legwork, and I want to be very upfront about that. What we're about to do is a very compressed overview. There is no way to do justice to these thinkers in one lecture, and we're not trying to. What we're doing instead is learning how to recognise theoretical moves. What kind of question is being asked here? What kind of answer is being offered? What kind of social world is being imagined? And crucially, what kind of problems are being treated as important? That skill, being able to see how theories relate to one another, rather than treating them as isolated islands, that's something you'll keep developing across the unit. Classical social theory. Before we get to the early 20th century, we need to briefly acknowledge where sociology comes from. You're already familiar with the so-called classics. Marx, Weber, Durkheim. I'm not going to reteach them. They're not the focus of this unit, but I'm going to treat them as a shared reference point. Each of them is grappling with a massive historical transformation: industrial capitalism, rapid urbanization, the breakdown of traditional forms of authority, the emergence of modern states, markets, and bureaucracies. Very crudely, Marx is asking how economic relations structure power and conflict. Weber is asking how meaning, ideas, and rationalization shape social action. Durkheim is asking how social order is possible at all in increasingly complex societies. You don't need to hold on to the details right now. What matters is that these questions don't disappear. They get reworked, reframed, sometimes radically transformed. The three precursors. What's often forgotten is that sociological thinking didn't suddenly appear in 19th century Europe. Take Ibn Khaldun, writing in the 14th century. He's already thinking in strikingly sociological ways, about human nature, about group solidarity, about how societies rise, consolidate power, become complacent, and then decline. His concept of asabiya, group cohesion, social glue, is used to explain why nomadic groups can overthrow settled elites, and why those elites eventually lose their vitality. That cyclical understanding of history, conflict, usurpation, dissipation, that's remarkably modern. Then Hegel. Now, Hegel is often experienced as impossible, but the core idea is actually quite intuitive. History moves through conflict, through contradiction, through struggle. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis is, after all, the Hegelian dialectic that Marx famously turned on its head. But also, and derived from this, the equally famous idea of the struggle for recognition, that we become who we are through relations with others, not in isolation, through a dialogue. That relational way of thinking feeds directly into Marx, but it also reappears much later in feminism, post-colonial theory, and identity politics. And then Comte. Comte gives us the very idea of sociology as a science, the law of three stages, the belief that societies move from theological explanations to metaphysical ones to scientific understanding. Whether you find that convincing or not, and many people don't, it sets up a long-running tension between explanation and interpretation, between measuring society and understanding meaning, a tension that never really goes away. The key point here is simple. Sociology is born argumentative. It never had a single origin story. The usual classics, the canonical three, the big cheeses. Now we arrive at the familiar big three. Again, just signposts. Marx, society structured by class struggle. Economic relations shaping political and cultural life. Ideas as ideology, not lies but stabilizing frameworks. Weber, methodological individualism, multiple causal forces, rationalization, bureaucracy, disenchantment. Durkheim, social facts, collective conscience, mechanical and organic solidarity. What matters for today is that none of these thinkers thought sociology should be modest. They formulated grand narratives. They were trying to explain entire societies. That ambition is inherited, challenged, and reshaped in the early 20th century. The two other classics? This slide is important because it already unsettles the canon. Simmel, for example, is fascinated by forms of interaction, dyads, triads, networks, how size and structure shape social life. He's interested in what happens to individuality in large impersonal societies. Money economies, urban life, depersonalization. You can already see the seeds of later network theory and microsociology here. Freud, meanwhile, is not a sociologist, but his influence is enormous. Ideas about the unconscious, desire, repression, the ID, ego, superego, defense mechanisms. These ideas fundamentally change how social theorists think about motivation, conformity, and conflict. Later, these ideas will flow into critical theory, feminism, and cultural analysis. The takeaway is this: sociology has always borrowed, argued, and hybridized. But just wait a minute. What about female and non-white European voices, I hear you ask? And this is where I want to slow down slightly. For a long time, sociological theory was taught as if it were a conversation between European men. That picture is now rightly being challenged. Charlotte Perkins Gilman is an early theorist of patriarchy and women's oppression. Her analysis of the economic basis of gender inequality is genuinely groundbreaking, and also deeply compromised by racism. Holding those two things together is uncomfortable, but it's also sociologically necessary. Simone de Beauvoir brings existentialism and Marxism together to think about gender not as destiny but as a social process, becoming rather than being. And Webb, Du Bois is doing something extraordinary. He brings Hegelian ideas of recognition together with Marxist analysis of exploitation to understand race, capitalism, and modernity. Long before mainstream sociology took race seriously, long before it was institutionally comfortable to do so. These thinkers are not an add-on. They fundamentally reshape how we understand the tradition itself. Right, and here we are. So, where does this all leave us? It leaves us with a discipline that is already fragmented, ambitious, and unsettled. And that's exactly the context in which three key theoretical approaches emerge in the early 20th century. Early Marxism, structuralism, functionalism. Each of them is trying to answer a very basic question. How is social order possible? And just as importantly, at what cost? That's the main menu from today's session. And that's where we'll go next.